I guess it's been about 10 years ago. I had played a show in Knoxville, Tennessee. It was a door deal, and 3 people showed up, and I made $27. And that was my last show. I'd been out for a while, and I live in Tallahassee, Florida. And I said, okay. I just started telling myself how sorry and worthless I was, that I was just going to drive home, all night. I was going to stay up all night. Poor, pitiful me. But I only made it really to the Georgia line, and there was a sign on the side. It said, motel rooms, $39.99. And I pulled over, and I know none of y'all have ever stayed in a $39 motel room. But if you do, when you go in, the first thing you do when you walk in there is you take your hands and you get that bedspread and you pick it up and you get it off, and then you go wash your hands. And I always travel with a sleeping bag and a pillow, so I laid my sleeping bag out and put my pillow out. And I said, well, shit, I'm just going to sit here and watch a movie and, cry myself to sleep. And so I turned on the television. There was a Western on, and for the sake of me, I can't ever figure out what this movie was, but it was Robert Mitchum, and it had a narrator in it. And the narrator, whenever he talked, he had this kind of weird voice. Life's a cowboy Gothic, about a riderless horse, and it's narrated by an ambiguous voice. And the implicit message is there's always a choice. You just gotta have the courage to make it. The horse trots into town beneath the bloody red moon, and he's saddled and he's bridled and he's well shod and groomed. And he stops beneath the window right above the saloon, where there's a whore and she's been patiently waiting. Life's a cowboy Gothic, about a riderless horse, and it's narrated by an ambiguous voice. And the implicit message is there's always a choice. You just gotta have the courage to make it. The whore comes down the stairs and she's in a white wedding gown. And the whiskey stops flowing and the cards go face down. And it's out in the street where the crowd gathers round, and she slowly steps up to that horse. There's a smile on her face and a tear in her eye, when she's regal and she's virgin in the bloody moonlight. And then she hops on that horse and rides off in the night, and you hear the quiver in the narrator's voice. Yeah, life's a cowboy Gothic, about a riderless horse, and it's narrated by an ambiguous voice. And the implicit message is you all have a choice. You just gotta have the courage to make it. Well, the whore and the horse, they're never heard from again. But a legend of myth and mystery begins. And as the credits they roll and our story it ends, well, the narrator's got one last thing to say. You change water to wine, you change wine into blood, you change wind into dust, you change dust into mud. You change a whore into a bride, you'll see her rise above the flood, where a groom will be waiting there for her. Yeah, life's a cowboy Gothic, about a riderless horse, and it's narrated by an ambiguous voice. And the implicit message is we all have a choice. You just gotta have the courage to make it. Yeah, you better have some courage.